that's a sore spot for me, because the illegal alien prostitutes that those who were caught in Buffalo were taking to their weekend prostitution parties, they were Asian.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the little Brazilian girls who, are Indians in Brazil, and the Shriners have a case in their Chicago hospital of two Latina women suing the Shriners for employment discrimination. And I'm just going, well, do I dare you use the word misogyny?
Yeah.
It's really, really, Henrik, what this seems to me, and I think that, from what I read about your website and yourself, you may be really excited to be able to understand this, is that these groups are out of balance.
Of course.
And if we look at the Native American symbol of the medicine wheel, which has the 4 directions and the 4 colors, and each direction could also stand for mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. If one of those directions is out of balance, the wheel is not going to roll, and you're not going to have healthy behavior. And clearly, these are not healthy behaviors.
That's right. And kind of in a weird kind of way, I mean, even the 4 directions symbol is even present within some Freemasonic lodges, in regards to the 4 directions of northwest, east and south, and so forth. And some of these symbols I can see actually are correlated, but it seems to be very much still, as you mentioned, very much unbalanced. And many of these symbols and ideas are not, incorporated into the teachings. And again, I mean, where do you draw the line, or do you even draw the line? Do you still think that there is good Freemasonic organizations out there that actually do good, or do you consider them all to be rotten at this point, or have this network that we're talking about infiltrated themselves into all of these organizations? What do you think about that?
One of the things that I've made very, very clear in my writing is that this gesture organization and the shrine leadership that is proving to be corrupt in so many ways are a what is that? The bad apple that spoils the bunch.
Right.
For the most part, the Shriners, and again, from a Native American point of view, we should honor our elders, and I'm sure it's true in your culture. You honor your elders. You honor the grandfathers and the grandmothers. And grandfathers should not be exploited. And one of the things that has driven me in this investigation is how so many hardworking Shriners, these guys, Henrik, they devote their lives. They're in their 60s and 70s. They will devote their weekends and their lives to raising money to help the burned and crippled children.
Mm-hmm.
They put on their clown makeup. They drive hundreds and thousands of miles to get patients back and forth to the hospitals. These guys have had the wool pulled over their eyes. They have been lied to. As far as the Royal Order of Jesters is concerned, I see no good coming out of that group.
Mm.
None. I believe that it's going to be exposed as essentially a nationwide prostitution network eventually, and we're gonna see it's going to be huge. You're going to be reading the international headlines, going, "Oh, I remember when we talked about this."
Well, in one sense, it's a reason to laugh in that regard, in regards to the joy that is felt over that this is being exposed and talked about and brought up to the surface, as it were. But again, it's no laughing matter. And do you think that,
right,
these child prostitution rings, do you think that it's an international network pretty much at this point? It's across the world, and it can possibly even be another type of network, so to speak, that actually just selling people, children and so forth, to different groups, organizations, or even individuals that have this particular perversion. And one of them, in this case, happens to be a few of these people that we've been mentioning about in regards to the jesters. What do you think?
Well, you're touching on something that I have found in Europe, particularly, I think, out of Great Britain.
Okay.
In terms of a Masonic possible or alleged or perceived link between Freemasonry and pedophilia. I can send you a link of a judge who was looking into pedophilia, links to the British government, and he was killed. And so if we look at this mindset of these men being above the law and doing these kinds of crimes and expecting their brothers to take care of them, of course, we go up the family tree and we take a look at the mindset of certain Masons. My dad was a Mason, and there are good men. There are good men in Masons and in Shriners, Scottish Rite, all the appendant organizations. But there seems to be a little clique or an elite group of those who think that they're above the law and their brothers are going to protect them. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, that the retired police captain, the judge, and his law clerk are in fact being thrown under the bus, like you said when you quoted Gary Martin as saying, "Oh, this doesn't happen, and I have no idea," blah blah blah. But then on the other hand, the U.S. attorney is saying, "Yeah, these guys have guys all over the whole country who get girls for the weekend." So again, it's that kind of I think that the jester spokespeople are just kind of buying some time to see what's going to happen, and they're looking over their shoulder, and I think that pretty soon, you're going to hear that knock on the door, and these guys are going to see a unmarked car out front. They're going to have someone, MIB, come up and say, we're going to take you away for questioning.
MIB being the Men in Black, or what?
Yeah. I
right.
Or GIB, Girls in Black, but I mean, this is right now. I would expect that after reading that application for the arrest warrant and the wiretapping, if these guys think that they can destroy emails or scrub their hard drives or things like that, that they can't.
Sure.
That those things are on the servers. And at this point, it's too late. It's way too late. I don't know for sure if there have been wire intercepts between any of these jesters or anything else. But I will predict that the jesters in Buffalo who were caught took illegal alien prostitutes to Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Florida. They also, according to Judge Tills's plea agreement, he took prostitutes to Canada and cooperated with national officers to do so. So I guess that would make it international.
That's right. Well, exactly. That's all it takes, pretty much. Do you think that after this point we might also see a schism, if you will, that Freemasonry or the accepted orders, if you will, want to try to get themselves away from the jesters or something like that?
Boy, I sure hope so. I have called the Grand Lodge of New York over and over. What do you guys think? These people, your brothers, are now felons. They're being sentenced for these crimes, and we'll get back to you and on all of this. And I'm being stonewalled, and the Shriners do that to me too. I try and get the other side of the story.
Yeah.
In my comment section, I don't know if you've looked in the comment section of my articles, but since I started writing about the Royal Order of Jesters, it's been like hand-to-hand combat. People come in there, and at one point they were trying to figure out how to get my articles offline, and they're saying, oh yeah. So the consensus, those who care to speak up, they've tried to discredit me and cause me problems and attacking me and all this stuff. And, at first it was difficult. You live online, you have an online website, and you get hate mail.
Sure.
And how does that make you feel?
Well, not good, but one needs to manage to shield themselves from this as well. And again, it's a difference between legitimate criticism or kind of an argument or discussion in that sense. But if it's just slander and pointless, bickering, then I don't care about it. So
right.
Well,
I've learned to toughen up.
Yeah, you need to do that, I think, and because again, we do want to point out that idea that it's Freemasonry have also a responsibility to clean out their own house. They talk a lot about morals of this and that, and they cannot just suspect that people are going to leave them alone in that sense. They always try to pitch the idea that we're not a secret society, we're a society with secrets and all this stuff. You hear this stuff, right? But at the same time, that will bring people to the organization, which consequently will want to find out what's going on. That's just the nature of humankind as well. We're curious. We want to find out why are things secret. On the other hand, I don't say that things shouldn't be allowed to be not secret, meaning that on one extent, I agree that people should be able to do what they want in one regard, but if it's hurting other people, if it's, again, illegal activity, then it needs to be brought out. What do you think, Sandy?
Well, you exactly hit on the solution. And since these are nonprofit groups in the United States, I think the IRS, I think it's up to the Senate Finance Committee here because they oversee the IRS and nonprofit groups. The solution is when one becomes a nonprofit group, they submit rituals, that they submit all of everything so that nothing is secret. Because what we have here, I'm working on another article for the same international magazine, and my lead is, what do you get when you cross secret societies with the IRS? Prostitution parties at taxpayer expense. So you are precisely right. You're so astute, because the entire problem does deal with the nonprofit classification, and these guys pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, getting tax considerations for partying, mirth and merriment. What is $600,000 for a weekend party? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so you are precisely right. And I think from your other question though about Freemasonry, I am hoping that a couple things happen. And the problem is, though, that I believe that there are jesters in the highest levels of Masonry also.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that seems to be the case. And again, you can be, people can be members, and we know this is pretty common. People are members of a lot of different lodges, a lot of different types of orders within Freemasonry. One can be a Shriner, a Jester, a Freemason. One can be a member of the OTO, what have you. There's other secret, societies out there in that regard. So,
right.
And we could even potentially here be talking about a group of people that are also infiltrating themselves into these types of organizations, because it's a perfect guise to keep things like this secret, because the ritual or the agreement, so to speak, that you take when you go into some of these groups is that you protect the members to all costs and you keep things secret. So it opens up the possibility for potentially sick and perverted people to seek membership into these organizations to continue with their bad behavior. Right? Sure.
And it's that ultimate mindset. In fact, there is in Shrine bylaws or Shriner laws, there is a statement that says Shrine law does not include the law of the land. And, hello, how can you do that and say that and still be a nonprofit group?
So it goes back to that idea of maritime law again? Is that it?
I don't know if it's maritime law. It's just their little law that is the Shrine law does not include the laws of the land. And so that's why when somebody in the Shriners say we'll ask a question, like the two whistleblowers that first contacted me and they were eventually sued, then they are put into kangaroo courts. Johnny Edwards was subject to extremely harsh Shriner disciplinary hearings. In addition to, he also was a jester and left the jesters. In fact, I have an interview with two jesters confirm that an email, that email that was out there that talked about the prostitution in the jester parties. And what happens is all these judges and attorneys within the Shriners who are in positions of leadership will convene a court and throw the question asker out, and all Johnny Edwards did was support a black couple who was discriminated against at a shrine temple they were, it was horrible. They were called names and touched and called the worst names of all, and they sued the Shriners, and he said, we shouldn't be doing that at our shrine temples, treating our employees like that.
Yeah.
And